Coming up on Network Africa, protesters return to the streets in Lomé, Togo for a third day. And the U.S. carries out an airstrike in Somalia against the Islamic Al-Shabaab group, killing one militant. And striking university lecturers in Nigeria failed to call off strike despite a reconciliation meeting. Hello everyone, I am BC Adebayo. It's good to have you on the program. Protesters are on the streets of Lomé, Togo for the third day, burning down structures and throwing bricks at riot policemen. They're demanding an end to 50 years in power of the Yasigbe family. Security forces fired tear gas in the early hours of this morning to disperse hundreds of anti-government protesters. The protests have continued despite a plea from President Yasigbe to reintroduce a two-term limit for Togo's heads of state. Meanwhile, authorities have ordered widespread internet cuts over the past 2 days in an attempt to curb the demonstrations. Well, let's get more on the situation in Togo from a lecturer at the Department of Political Science, University of Lagos, Dr. Ferdinand Otter. Many thanks for joining us on the program. It's been 50 years since the Yasigbe family has been in power in Togo, and going from Yasigbe Eyadema to Fari, who took over. Do you think that, or do you agree that the government is becoming a monarchy as the people are alleging?
Yeah, that is true. The politics in Togo is such that from the time of Yasigbe Eyadema, the man who took over power in 1967, Togo has been authoritarian rule. Now, at the death of the father in 2005, the son Kure took over. And since that time, they have had a series of protests and so on, to the extent that the first prime minister, the son, Olympio, was sent into exile, who has been in the forefront of the protests against the high-handedness of Yasigbe Eyadema. So the protests, I think it will continue as long as the Togolese are bent on changing the government that has been ruling them for over 2 decades. So I think that is the situation in Togo.
We've sent the protesters out on the streets for the past 3 days now, and they're seeking an end to this government. Do you see this happening?
That if the protests should continue, whether he will step down?
Yes.
I don't think so. I don't think so, because he has the army under his control. It was the army that actually brought him to power after the death of his father, undermining the constitution. So basically, the army will also continue to support him. But if the people are well determined, definitely when the chiefs are down, they will know that the power is no longer just of using gun and so on. That is, the mind is not always right, as it's not normally put it. So if the people are persistent in their struggle, after some time, it will leave office. I think that is what the people actually want to do, because it's an attempt to amend the constitution that will make him to stay in office for life, so to say, in quotes. It's what the people are resisting. They are saying that they want them to go back to 1992 constitution, which allows the president to stay in office for 2 terms. But from the manipulation of the constitution, definitely he wants to stay in office, and the people will resist it. And I think it is better for them to resist it. So this is the only opportunity they have.
Now, in the coming days, the National Assembly is expected to meet to discuss changes to the constitution limiting presidential terms. Will this placate the protesters and bring the necessary democratic changes in the country?
Well, currently the party, his own political party, has majority in the National Assembly. And definitely, if they want to amend the constitution to suit the president, of course, they have the majority. The politics in Togo is that the north, that is where the present president comes from, he dominates the politics. So if the National Assembly want to amend the constitution, of course they will amend it to suit the president. Now the argument has always been that the president yes, they agreed that they will have an amendment, but he wrote the year that he has ruled before. So as soon as they amend the constitution, the tenure will now start counting from the time of the amendment of the constitution, and that is what the people are resisting. So the National Assembly, from what I have seen, will always want to support him, even though because he has the majority. The party has the majority, and the members of National Assembly are from the northern region that dominates the politics in Togo. So I think that is the situation now. So I think the only thing that the people should do is to continue in the protest, and after some time maybe they might decide to back down and leave office.
Many thanks, Dr. Otter, for speaking with us on Network Africa. Dr. Ferdinand Otter is a lecturer at the Department of Political Science at the University of Lagos. The U.S. military has carried out an airstrike in Somalia against the Islamic group Al-Shabaab, killing 1 militant. According to the U.S. command in Africa, AFRICOM, the attack was launched on Thursday afternoon near the town of Barawe, southwest of the capital, Mogadishu. Al-Shabaab is fighting against Somalia's UN-backed transitional federal government and wants to impose a strict form of Islam in the country. And Uber has condemned Thursday night's violent clashes between its drivers and metered taxi drivers in South Africa's largest city of Johannesburg. The organization is investigating the circumstances leading to the violence. According to reports, the Uber drivers retaliated when a group of men believed to be operators of metered taxis poured petrol on Uber vehicles and set them ablaze. The clashes are over operating routes, with the metered taxis saying that Uber is encroaching into their turf.